The current 8th generation Camry's been out since 2017 as a 2018 model year. It got pushed for a 2024 model year. I don't believe that was in the original plans, but the 9th generation Camry, the redesigned Camry, is right around the corner. Today we're going to go over everything we know, where it's built, what kind of powertrains it'll have, what it should look like, etc. Grab your snacks and drinks, buckle in, and let's go. If you guys are excited for the next generation Camry, the 9th generation, guys, that's crazy. Smash the like button. Let's just jump into the first thing. What you guys want to know the most. When can you expect the new Camry? Well, like I said, it's been delayed, right? I think initially it was going to be available by the end of this year. We got pushed back maybe a quarter. So my sources are saying March is when production starts for the new Camry. And where can you expect it to be built? Well, we're looking at the Toyota Motor Manufacturing page. This is the largest Toyota plant or assembly plant in the world. They employ almost 10,000 people. They've dumped nearly $9 billion into the plant. Now, there have been massive changes at TMMK this past year. Not necessarily for the Camry, that's a part of it, but they're revitalizing the plant to make a crap ton of battery electric vehicles, from the 3-row crossovers from the BZ5X. That should be built on assembly line 1, which actually they could build quite a few EVs on assembly line 1 there. I'm hearing the BZ4X will also be built in Kentucky. Now it'll finally qualify for the EV tax credit. So yeah, vehicles produced. This is going to change enormously. Okay, they haven't even updated, but the Avalon's been gone there since 2022, right? RAV4 hybrid production is leaving. They only produced it since 2020, so at the longest, about 5 years, because that's when they start building battery electric vehicles off the RAV4's assembly line, which is assembly line number 1 there. Camry is on assembly line number 2, and assembly line number 3 is where they build the Lexus ES. But we know the ES is going back to Japan for the next generation, which might share a lot with the Camry or the Crown. We could get a next generation ES reveal when I'm in Japan for this year's Tokyo Motor Show. But going back to Kentucky here, ES leaving, IS BEV will likely be built in that 3rd assembly line in Kentucky. A sedan or potential hatchback are the only things they can make in that 3rd assembly line because of the space limitations of where they dip the car into the paint. Coming spring, you can put money on it. However, when should we see it for the first time? Well, it's going to be more than likely at the LA Auto Show. And not only will I be going and showing you guys this vehicle firsthand, more than likely, if it is going to be at the LA Auto Show, but there are also rumors of at least one other Toyota vehicle being announced there. And that is this guy, the Crown Sport. I'm hearing that this vehicle could be unveiled for the North American market at the LA Auto Show. And if you guys want to have a new Camry alongside of this Crown Sport, let me know down below. You know, we did get renders a while back, so this is going to segue into the design of the new Camry. You know, if it came out looking like this with a similar design that we have on the Crown Sport, I think people would be happy. This is probably one of my favorite renders that have come out on the Camry, but I did pretty bad Photoshop skills and tried to make my own Camry. And the reason is I'm hearing that the Crown Estate that I pretty much modified this guy right here to make this one. I'm hearing the Crown Estate is not going to come to the United States, unfortunately. But I hear the design that the front end here is quite similar to what we have on the upcoming Toyota 9th generation Camry. So I pretty much just slammed this thing, tried to make it a sedan in the back. It's a really bad attempt to turn this into a sedan, but there you go. There's my terrible Photoshop skills, but I think the front end here could very well be quite similar to this Crown Estate. And since we're not getting the Crown Estate here in the United States, what better way to kind of get inspired by that front end design, which that new Hammerhead design looks incredible on this Estate, and it would look amazing on a Camry sedan as well. For the interior, it's still a bit of a guessing game because we can look at two of the newest Toyota vehicles in the lineup that share the same platform, the K platform. We have the Grand Highlander here at the bottom, which is definitely going to be wider than the Camry. And then we have the Crown. The new Crown, not the Crown Sport or the Crown Estate that we have, but the one that I reviewed recently, and I really, really liked that powertrain. Well, Hybrid Max powertrain, but we'll talk about powertrains here in a little bit. We're not going to see carbon copies of either. Instead, I could see some similarities and some things pulled from each of these. What is 100% going to be coming is this sort of shifter, this shift by wire. I don't think we're going to see a traditional slam it down into drive situation. I'm almost positive we'll see the new hybrid style shift by wire shifter here. The Crown's interior to me is far more aesthetically pleasing, but I do like having the rotary knobs here for the climate control. And, you know, both of them are functional. Let me know which design you would prefer to have on the new Camry. But since it's a sedan, there's a better chance it follows the suit of the Crown more than likely over the Grand Highlander. I think a 12-inch screen is a lock. A 8 or 9-inch screen is minimum. We won't have the fully digital 12-inch screen here on base model, so it's probably the old 7-inch screen. And then, of course, you will have a fully digital 12-inch screen on the higher grades. And it will have Toyota's new software with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You'll have tons of USB chargers, or specifically USB-C chargers in here. I'd like to see a head-up display on the new Camry, and that's something the Crown doesn't even have, which blows my mind. How does the Crown, not in our market, right? Because the Crown in other markets, of course, has a head-up display. But for some reason, ours does not. Probably be too costly, and it's already Lexus pricing tier anyways, Lexus ES price, which does have a head-up display. So I think they just try to package it so it doesn't step on the toes too much of the Lexus ES, but it is what it is. If you haven't used the restroom yet, you might want to do that because we're getting deep into the spreadsheet now. Let's look at the current Camry, because that's going to be the springboard of the 9th gen. We need to look at the base model. Are we going to have the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, 2.5 liter with about 200 horsepower with optional all-wheel drive? And the answer is, I think it's extremely unlikely. Not hearing this engine, not even a whisper of this engine, make it into the new Camry. We'll have a new base setup. What about the 3.5 liter V6? Extremely unlikely. The V6 living on in the Camry is guaranteed as, let's say, the Tundra or the Land Cruiser getting a V8 for the current generation. It's just not going to happen. The Grand Highlander as well as the Highlander got rid of the V6 too, and the Sienna no longer a V6. So I mean, writing is on the wall here, in my opinion. V6 rest in peace. So if you want that V6 Camry, you got about 6 months or so before they switch over and kill the V6 off with a new generation. So you might be saying, Kirk, well, yeah, they'll just put the 4-cylinder turbo in it and to retire the V6 like they do with the Highlander, for example. No, that's not what I'm hearing either. They're not going to put this 2.4 liter, a T24 FTS engine. It's not going to happen. At least not in this situation like we see in the Highlander where it has all-wheel drive optional. Now we get into what is coming for the Camry. 100% lock, 100% coming is the hybrid. I'm not going to say it's a carryover hybrid because they should absolutely update this hybrid system for the new generation. Maybe to a 5th generation hybrid. It's possible the new Camry, the new Corolla, the new Prius have a 5th generation Toyota hybrid system. So we could see it leap forward and be the first K-platform vehicle with the newest hybrid technology from Toyota, because all of them are current 4th gen, I believe. All right, so what do I want to see from it? Well, actually, I'd like to see more horsepower than 208 that we currently have. If they update it, I don't see why we can't have 230, 240 horsepower. Look at the Crown, the Limited and the XLE that have the base 2.5 liter hybrid system. Those have about 239, 240 horsepower. So I'd like to see at least that much horsepower here. I don't think that they would give it more horsepower, though, than the Crown. So I think it's hard capped at 239 horsepower. Now, all-wheel drive should be a lock as well. Not standard. It is standard on the Crown. It should be optional here on the Camry. Now, it'll reduce your fuel economy just a little bit. All-wheel drive should cost about $1,500 more than the front-wheel drive system. Don't know what kind of battery they can move straight to fully lithium-ion. I think currently the Camry, depending on the grade, uses lithium-ion or nickel metal hydride. The fuel efficiency is about the same between the two. I'm about 99% sure it is going to be hybrid, and you're not going to have a non-hybrid powertrain. on the Camry. Now, many of you have been asking for a plug-in hybrid Camry. I think a lot of you would also be interested in a plug-in hybrid ES, and I think that will come eventually. We got to look at what the CARB states want, right? The California Air and Resource Board, they want fully battery electric or just fully electric vehicles essentially by 2035, and they're going to be forcing internal combustion engines more and more out the door every single year. The new Camry is kind of going to be living in this generation here. It comes out in 2024, right? But we'll see it live into probably 2032, and then it could become fully battery electric after that. But we could see plug-in hybrid versions of it come. CARB is also forcing plug-in hybrids to have at least 50 miles of real world range. Here's the thing. Even if there's a huge demand for these plug-in hybrids in California or other CARB states, Toyota and other manufacturers will not be able to make over 20% of their fleet sales plug-in hybrids. So the 80% minimum has to be battery electric. The most that they can have is 20%. So the plug-in hybrids might be a hard vehicle to get your hands on as well, just like it is today. Go figure. So going back to the spreadsheet, the RAV4 Prime has 42 miles of EV range. Would we be able to see that stretched to 50 miles of EV range on the new Camry? I think it'll be really tough. They almost need to make this like a 20 kilowatt hour battery at that point. So, I don't think this vehicle is going to be announced at the announcement of the new Camry. I think they'll just announce the base hybrid. But I think it could absolutely come after 2025, after 2026 possibly, because they are going to have their own battery factory in North Carolina. Put them on a train to Kentucky, and then you'll be able to start building Camry Primes. But yeah, the earliest that could possibly happen is 2025. I just don't see it happening that early. So 2026 and beyond would be my expectations for a Camry Prime. I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but I think 302 horsepower is kind of where it will land, and it will be a nice upgrade for sure over the standard hybrid, but it will also be expensive as hell. We know that the RX hybrid that just got announced, or the RX plug-in hybrid, $70,000 starting price. RAV4 Prime is in the mid 40s starting. So the Camry, when it comes out, Camry Prime, it's going to cost at least $45,000, year over year inflation as well. So in 2025, 2026, when we see something like this, yeah, it's going to be at least $45,000. $45,000 to $55,000 is kind of the range it would be in. What about a TRD Camry? A lot of you guys have been asking about what's going on here. So you have two options. One could be overboosting the 2.4 liter turbo with 8-speed automatic, mechanical all-wheel drive, 350 horsepower. I don't think this is going to happen. I think more than likely they build off of the hybrid turbo setup that we see in the Crown Hybrid Max that I just reviewed, that we see in the Grand Highlander, that we see in the Lexus RX 500h F Sport Performance. So I think this is the one that makes the most sense. With a 6-speed auto, you have a powerful electric motor in the back, and that gives us at least 340 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60, well, I think it was 5.4 in the Crown. This being slow, I don't even know if it's going to be that much smaller than the Crown anymore, to be honest. I think they could stretch the Camry's wheelbase to 112.2 inches. So all these powertrains are just kind of like drag and drop or plug and play, however you want to say it. So yeah, I think the Camry gets a little bit bigger as well. And the Crown is there to be a design choice as well as an ergonomic choice where you don't have to sit down as low as you will in the Camry, but the Camry will have better headroom. That's the thing. That's what I struggled with the Crown, is that I sat up higher, but my head was nearly touching the roof on that vehicle, which just, yeah. Anyways, if you're much taller than 6 feet, you might not have a lot of room in the Crown. I think you'll have a better experience in the Camry as long as you can squat low. But anyways, yeah, this would be more than likely if they wanted to come out with the Camry TRD, this would be the powertrain. Now you might be saying, Kirk, could they put this powertrain in an XSE and the XLE? Yeah, I think that it could happen. It could happen as the top powertrain, kind of like the V6 currently is. but I think it would almost be stepping on the toes of the Crown a little bit as well. So I almost think that they would set this aside to be a special TRD version of the Camry. So now in this video, I haven't talked about competitors at all. We know that the Camry, even though the sales have been going down, it still outsells the Accord. No one else is really close in terms of the larger sedan market. The full-size sedan market is really only reserved for luxury cars at this point in time. But yeah, the Camry hybrid, here we go, is going to be leaving the recently updated Accord hybrid a little bit in the dust. I think largely not. Yeah, the efficiency is one thing. Yes, it gets 44 plus miles per gallon. So the Camry wins on that regard. The Camry hybrid's also more responsive. When you put the pedal down, let's say you're already going like 40 miles an hour, you put the pedal down on a Camry hybrid, it goes immediately. On a Honda hybrid, there's a delay there. And, you know, while it feels great off the line, a Honda hybrid, it feels like an electric car. You have the immediate 247 pound-feet of torque. It just is not responsive when you're already up to speed. I'm not saying it's slow, but it is a bit concerning because it's almost like waiting on a slow transmission to downshift. Anyways, both of them have an eCVT. They do it completely different, though. I'm not going to get into how these hybrids are different, but I think the big thing here is that the Camry will have all-wheel drive, and the Honda Accord does not offer all-wheel drive at all. It's front-wheel drive only, and I think that's going to bring a lot more people than there probably were before into the Camry hybrids camp. And if we get a 236, that's technically what the Crown hybrid has on the Limited and the XLE. If we get that here on the Camry hybrid, that would be excellent. But we see this powertrain all the way up to about 245 horsepower on something like a Sienna. So yeah, I mean, the Camry hybrid's looking pretty tasty. And yes, there's also the Sonata hybrid with the 2-liter setup. It's somewhat, I mean, it's also got a 6-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. It's a different hybrid system than these totally, but something also worth considering. But the Camry hybrid is still going to have it in terms of power. It's also going to have it in terms of efficiency, and it also has all-wheel drive. And I guess I didn't talk about a platform. Is this going to be like a completely new platform? Absolutely not. Toyota is not going to do anything different with the platform other than maybe traditional upgrades to the K platform. So they're just going to probably increase the rigidity, increase the safety of the K platform, decrease the weight using better materials, things of that nature. But it's not going to be a completely like ground up platform that we haven't seen before. It's just going to be a fine tuning of essentially what we have on the K platform. But I'm going to shut it down there, guys. What are you most excited about for the new Camry? I should be bringing it to you guys in November. November is the LA Auto Show, where we'll likely see this vehicle reveal, likely see well, I'm not going to say likely the Crown Sport. That's more of like a selfish want and desire. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the Crown Sport to be revealed there. So I'll leave you guys with this final question. If both of these vehicles, new Camry and Crown Sport, are announced at the LA Auto Show for the American market, which of these vehicles are you picking? They'll have similar powertrains. Plug-in hybrid is going to be coming to this vehicle. I don't know at launch in the United States, but anyways, they will both have a 2.5-liter hybrid system more than likely. So let me know down below which vehicle you'd be more interested in. The Crown Sport, that looks kind of like the Ferrari Purosangue, or would you be looking at the new Camry redesign? I'll see you guys down below. Both of them would be excellent choices. Thank you for watching. This is probably the last update for the Camry that I'll have for you guys before it's finally revealed in the next couple of months. So if you made this far, I appreciate you. If you haven't hit the like button, smash the heck out of it and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything on the Camry. If we get, I know I'm kind of rambling on, but if we get a teaser or anything like that leading up to the LA Auto Show on the new Camry, I will definitely post and update you guys on that. But I'm going to shut it down. Thank you guys. Have a great day and peace.